I look forward to a day like people just like move across things, like not move on the road, but everyone like you go market, you just move across, move in a straight line.
Hey guys, it's Coach Marcus here from Move Parkour, and in this video we're going to be talking about the women of parkour. Now you and I know that parkour is currently dominated by a single gender. There's just too many guys and too little women practicing parkour in our community today. So in efforts to promote diversity, we invited 3 female practitioners to come and share with us their experiences and their perspectives when they practice parkour, right? So without further ado, allow me to introduce to you our 3 guest traceuses, Coach Lini, Cynthia, and Rensit.
Hey everyone, been practicing and coaching parkour for 3 to 4 years. Really passionate about it. I'm a mother of a beautiful 8-year-old boy, and I also work for a company called GE doing communications and marketing. So, hi everyone.
Hi guys, my name is Cynthia. I work in the corporate side, customer support. I've been doing parkour for about a year and a half now. So parkour for me has been very enriching and also beneficial. And I love this group so much. So thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Cynthia. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rensin. I'm an artist with a background in dance choreography, and I also work with community and social art. Right now, I'm a member of the Five Arts Collective, and I started parkour a year ago. And it's getting more and more interesting, and I feel more and more invested in it.
Nice, thank you. So those of you who are listening, do Google the Five Arts Collective as well. Check them out, and you can probably see Rensin do a bit of some really cool moves. So nice, thank you so much for introducing yourselves and coming online. We have a few questions I want to ask, and you can have quite a casual conversation. So let's start off with our first question. So I think just to keep this going, what are some benefits that you have found? And anybody can go first, right? But what are some benefits you have found in practicing parkour other than having a community, having a group? What have you seen change? If any.
For me, I'm more aware about my surroundings. Proprioception. That's the word that I learned. Before this, I've never heard of that word. So I am more aware of my surroundings now. Obviously, there's a lot of room for me to improve still. And parkour actually helped me a lot with my injuries. Because as I was training before, and before I did weight training, I did Muay Thai as well. And I sprained my ankle way back in my early 20s, so that didn't help. And I've got weak knees as well. So, it kind of helped. Parkour helped me vary my movement a bit, actually a lot, in complement to weight training. So that's what I value a lot about parkour. Aside from that, it's every single move that any technique that we do or you guys teach us, right, when we have to perform it. For me, the scary ones are the ones that I have to jump and whatnot. Teaches me how to confront that fear, or overcome it. Even though if I fail, I get to learn again and again until I try and until I make it.
Right.
Yeah. So if I don't make it anyway that day, it's for another day to conquer. So yeah,
Nice.
That's for me.
Okay.
I relate very much to what Cynthia said about the confronting fear. For me, I don't know, those moments kind of connect spiritually for me. I'm not sure why. I think because I really have to quiet down and face myself because in those moments, what I really appreciate with parkour is that it's like almost everyone can do it everywhere. Like you just walk outside or even inside your house. So in that sense, I I feel in that way it is an accessible training or way to have fun or to encourage people to come outside.
Um, Lily, I have a bit of a different question for you, if that's okay, because you've been doing parkour for 4 years, 3, 4 years now. And from your experience, is there a difference in how traceuses practice parkour as compared to traceurs? And again, traceuses is female practitioners and traceurs is male practitioners, right? Is there any difference? What are the different expertise and how do you complement each other?
That's a hard question, Marcus. I can provide my perspective as a female practitioner, but I wouldn't know how to compare it because I don't know what the male experience is like. But I will say that I think in any discipline, in any sport, or any area of learning, right? To kind of help that learning process, it goes back to community and support, right? You lean on people who have gone through the journey, um, to tap into the experiences to help your journey, right? But I guess in the case of parkour, it's been quite interesting. I mean, I'm blessed to be surrounded by a really good community of friends, you know, who happen to be male practitioners, such as yourself, Marcus. But I guess in some areas, such as the human, I mean, the female experience, from a from a physical biological perspective, right? I haven't really been able to tap to anyone in the community, or I haven't really been able to lean on anybody with that kind of experience, simply because there aren't too many women practicing parkour, too many seasoned practitioners, um, female practitioners, right? So I guess it's a mixed bag. There's a good, strong sense of community, and a tremendous support from male practitioners, but sometimes it could be a lonely journey, simply because the female body is different, right? The way a woman would learn how to do a climb up, for example, we can, of course, lean on our male coaches to learn how to do a particular technique. We can also learn from YouTube or seek inspiration online from other female practitioners. But I guess the experience would be very different if there was an actual trust use within the community in close proximity to kind of lean on to help you along that journey, right? Doing a level 1 climb up and doing a level 2 climb up is very different, simply because the female physiology, right? The way our body is shaped, and there are certain things, there are certain ways a female would move, which is very different than how her male counterpart would move, right? So
I agree with Lini's thoughts. I mean, the male practitioners, male coaches are very supportive. Experience-wise perspective-wise, it is different. Also, physiology is different. The female body, upper body, we have more fat, simply because it is what it is. So when it comes to climb ups, it is a bit hard. We have to work harder to actually be able to achieve that, to build muscle and stuff. So I'm optimistic in terms of parkour in Malaysia. I think certain sports, all sports are male dominated, right? When we come to look at it, the sports that we know now, I think even in the Olympics, first Olympics, it started off as all male participants. The female participants only came in in the second Olympics, I think, and that group started growing and growing. So I think parkour in Malaysia has the potential to grow. It just needs time. That time is for us to find out, I suppose. Yeah.
I think because, like, for example, can I start? I'm talking about neighborhood again. Also, because that time I asked Lini to come over because I was very aware that in that environment, all the moving bodies are male. And actually, I met one mother. She was like climbing here and there for her, like fishing and stuff. And then she stopped doing that, and I have a bit of a relationship with her, and then I asked her why you stopped doing that, and then she said that people started saying like, "You're a mom, you're a woman, you should not be moving like that." So I felt like I needed to, like, this visibility and representation of the woman body moving around, it being free in the outdoor space is extremely important, especially for children growing up to see that. Because it's like you can imagine what you are able to do, but if around you the world don't have this visibility, it's a bit harder lah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that, right? So I guess that's another struggle or another challenge that we deal with as female practitioners, right? Societal expectations, especially in somewhat conservative societies like ours, right? So I guess maybe this is something that you might have experienced as well, Rinsin and Cynthia. I know throughout my journey, I've certainly experienced it, both in person as well as even online, right? Because online we're becoming increasingly connected. And when I share my practice on my social media, I often get comments from people, often random strangers, that the way I'm moving is inappropriate, right? So, I mean, for me, as annoying as that is, I think that just fuels the fire even more, right? It just goes to show how important the work that we're doing is, to really we're at this point where we really need a tipping point to really see how we can break through and change the perception on not just parkour, but many forms of movement, which happen to be dominated by a particular gender or particular type of people, right? So yes, I would say throughout my journey in movement, my goals often change and evolve. And right now, for me, the biggest motivator for me to do well in parkour is my son. I want him growing up to know that movement or being strong is not something that should just be advocated or promoted for a particular gender. It should be done by everybody, irrespective of your background. So that's the main motivation for me. In fact, in this household, he knows that his mother is a little bit more outgoing than his father, which I find intriguing, right? So when he goes out there, he finds it very confusing when his friends tell him, your mom is really strong, for example, right? So I think it's interesting. I mean, it's a responsibility that we have as practitioners and also as mothers or sisters or daughters, right? To help kind of shape that social perception.
So if you could give advice or suggestion to other female practitioners coming in, so you talk about we want more representation, more people joining in. What would you say to them? What would you say to encourage them to come in, and what advice would you give if you would give any?
My advice would be, if you want to do it, come join us, because parkour is just like any other sport. Risks is also with any other sport. It's not just parkour. And parkour is fun. Yeah. So I think that would be my advice. And don't be afraid, because parkour is a great way to learn about our own bodies and our mind as well, too. Both our mind and our body. So yeah, that's my advice.
Thank you, Cynthia.
I would say to them, come and find out for yourself your own relationship with parkour. Make it your personal connection. Don't not what parkour is to someone else. And claim that space.
Claim that space.
I agree with everything Cynthia and Rinsin just said. Absolutely. Um, but I think if there's something I can take away from this conversation, right? A couple of important points to really grow the trustees community in Malaysia and beyond. There are several things. Um, Number one, there's that ecosystem, right? When I say ecosystem, I'm talking about things like education, which Cynthia touched on briefly, as well as Rinsin. The aspect of education, having the right coaches, the right academy to train parkour in a way that is safe and practical. There's also the need for things like infrastructure, which in Malaysia we're still very much at the initial phases of. So those things, the ecosystem, right? And then secondly, the aspect of community within the community, really lean on your fellow practitioners, be it female or male, right? And it's easy to have that victim mindset mentality and say, oh no, he or she was unfair to me, blah blah blah. But also it's also your responsibility to ask those tough questions, to help build that awareness, like Marcus just mentioned, right? He's asking himself those questions. So as female practitioners, we can also kind of encourage that, and also ask questions um, to others, right? To help build that awareness. Third, you saw my son just now, right? So yeah, children, I think to really kind of build that diversity in this space, it starts with the youth, right? So again, that's also an area which we could all contribute in having more youth involved in this space. So who knows, 10 years from now, as Cynthia mentioned, right? The world of parkour will be a very different place.
Yeah.